Alrighty, we're back with another one. Crash and Burn Gaming, the Anita Sarkeesian story. Let's get into it. I don't know who she is. Never seen her in my life. I didn't grow up with the internet and stuff like that until the schools made us use the internet, and I still don't know who she is. So we're here to learn.
When it comes to
All I
video
know is
game
that she's
crash and
hated on
burns,
a
they
lot.
really don't get much more spectacular than this one. It would be no exaggeration to
That's
say
all
that
I know.
Anita Sarkeesian was one of the most influential, divisive, and widely hated figures in the whole industry. A name that's practically become the Lord Voldemort of the gaming world now, instantly conjuring up memories of bitter online culture wars, horrifyingly unlikable girl bosses, DEI struggle sessions, corporate mandated activism, and of course, absolutely shameless online grifting. A woman who once spoke in front of the United Nations, who had major studios bending over backwards to accommodate her, the entire legacy media apparatus trying to prop her up, and a river of money all flowing her way. Then, it all kind of fell apart when everyone collectively realised she was completely full of shit, knew practically nothing about the things she presumed to lecture industry pros and lifelong fans about, and her involvement in most major gaming projects was a kind of reverse Midas touch, turning gold into shit and profit into massive losses.
Oh Lord. Already it sounds like it's gonna be a bad time learning about her.
So join me, your humble critical game.
And I might not understand a lot of stuff, okay? You as the viewer is supposed to help me understand this stuff, man. I don't understand some things. Big words don't mean a lot to me, so if it doesn't seem like I understand something, put down in the comments what I missed, okay?
As we explore the crash and burn of Anita Sarkeesian. Anita was
Anita
born in
Sarkeesian.
Toronto, Canada in 1983, the daughter of Iraqi Armenians who moved to the country back in the 70s. After finishing high school, she moved to California to study communications before moving on to York University, where she earned a master's degree in social and political thought in 2010. Already, her preoccupation with gender and identity politics was pretty obvious with her final thesis, "I'll Make a Man Out of You: Strong Women in Science Fiction and Fantasy Television."
Right.
While finishing up her degree, she launched the website Feminist Frequency, dedicated to
Okay.
analysing media from a feminist perspective, where she
No, it's okay. No, I'm gonna say this. I don't hate feminism. I support women, but not dumb women. Okay? Let's get that right.
did groundbreaking work like applying the Bechdel test, a widely debunked tool whose own creator admitted that it was done purely for laughs, to the Best Picture nominees in 2012, and breaking down the gender stereotyping in Lego bricks.
Huh? There's... Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. I've never in my life would think, as a person who was a feminist for a very long time, I never thought about Lego being... I never... Huh? My brain hurts. I'm gonna move on. My brain hurts thinking
I'm
about
being
it.
serious here. None of this made too much of an impact, but it did open up a new avenue for grifting.
Oh, she's a
media analysis.
grifter.
And that avenue was video
She
games.
she rage baits people. Makes sense. I used to do... Listen, I understand. I used to do that in high school. I made shorts that would piss people off because it got me views. Then I got to 900 subscribers. And then I did reacting in that time change, which people didn't like it, so I removed it, and then went back to reacting. And if you want to know why people didn't like it, it's because I didn't have good opinions about the Tate brothers. And, yeah. So,
a rapidly growing
I get it,
industry
but,
catering
like,
to a largely
you can't,
male audience.
you can't apply the same logic to, like, at that point, it's partly grifting, but mostly lying. I'm gonna, change the gaming industry because I think they're sexualizing women too much. Which, to be fair, a lot of them were, sure. But at the same time, you can't expect everyone to agree with you. or make it, and then to lie is another crazy thing.
And making absurd amounts of money in the process. And that clearly was something that needed correcting. In May 2012, Anita launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund a YouTube video series called Tropes vs. Women in Video Games, where she would break down various harmful stereotypes and depictions of women in gaming and how they could be fixed.
Over the course of this series, I will be offering critical analysis of many popular games and characters. But please keep in mind that it's both possible, and even necessary, to simultaneously enjoy a piece of media while also being critical of its more pernicious aspects.
Why exactly do you need funding to create the kind of videos that most...
Yeah, I don't... Funding? Just make the video. Like, unless you're paying an editor, maybe she's paying an editor a lot of money to make the videos, but at the same time, I mean, is it really that hard to make a video with a blue background that you probably painted or have just a theme go up? You know, I thought about doing that because, God, looking at my room is atrocious as a collector and as I don't like organizing stuff, but it's really not that hard. And then to do the shifts are not that hard. Editing is hard, but editing is also not hard at the same time.
Content creators can make themselves for nothing? Don't know. Just don't worry about where the money went. Either way, the campaign was a massive hit and ended up raising over $150,000, and Tropes vs. Women rolled ahead with its first episode, Damsels in Distress, that came out the following year. Yeah, it was mostly superficial, highly biased, and easily debunked analysis of cherry-picked examples stripped of context, usually from games that had been made decades earlier, and tossed together with the kind of word salad that could only come from a political science degree, but what the fuck? It was exactly what the legacy news media were desperate for, a chance to shame and browbeat an industry that had mostly gone unchallenged until now. The New York Times even called it essential viewing for anyone interested in video games, and one of their journalists even tried to call out Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto about the damsels in distress trope in the Mario games.
The thing is, that trope has been around forever, and in everything. Like, it is a boring trope to me, because it's so overused. It's like, in video games, it's more fun, because most of the time, there's, you know, you follow the game, Play Store, but you're playing the game. It gives you dopamine. Watching it after a while, you kind of get bored of it, which is why there's not too much of it nowadays, honestly, besides, like, Disney and stuff. Not too much of it. But you can't call out, like, to call out something and be like, oh, why is Mario doing this? It's like, because it's Mario. That is the story. Like, what else do you want him to be? Like, what else is there? You want freaking Princess Peach? Mario gets to the castle, Princess Peach is freaking, starts benching Bowser? Like, I don't know.
His response?
That'd be pretty funny, not gonna lie.
Deep thought over the years. Fucking based. Not everyone was riding the feminist frequency bandwagon though. As it turned out, Anita and her series had blundered right into the middle of the biggest online culture war of all time, Gamergate. Now, there's
I don't know what that
is.
is.
Videos
Don't
explaining
know.
this topic in way more depth than I ever could. The short version is that people began to notice that certain indie game developers were getting a suspicious amount of positive coverage from mainstream gaming outlets, which led to accusations of corruption, bias, and even sexual favors in games journalism, and eventually exploded into an all-out backlash against the creep of identity politics and feminism in gaming. And this was hardcore, man. Doxing, threats, harassment campaigns, mass flagging, review bombing, even criminal charges. It was all kicking off, and pretty soon, the Tropes vs. Women series became another major target, along with its creator. Now, it goes without saying that I do not endorse this kind of shit.
Whoa. Yeah, stuff like this, swatting, because you don't, like, everyone has their opinion. Everyone's, like, is allowed to like something, everyone's allowed to state their opinion, either if they're right or wrong, doesn't matter. Their opinion is their opinion. To go out and do something like this is crazy. I don't support that in either way. Saying you're gonna do that to someone is crazy. Or, like, even swatting is crazy. Like, this stuff is crazy. I think it's so normalized nowadays, too, to do that.
Criticizing a person's ideas is perfectly fine, but actually threatening harm on them in the real world is something very fucking different. Either way though, Anita was able to spin all of this to her advantage with sympathetic news coverage and even an appearance at the UN to speak about online harassment. Now, if you were a tinfoil hat enthusiast, you might even suggest that she courted this kind of online controversy and baited people into harassing her to prove her own point and portray herself as a brave victim standing up to the online mob so she...
That's smart. I'm not gonna lie. If that's true, that's smart, because it does kind of seem like that way. That's smart. Dumb, but smart. Because then she makes a bunch of money, and then if she goes off, it doesn't matter. She has tons of money already.
You can milk all that sweet sympathy and donation money. But you know, that's just crazy talk. Before you could say gassed up mid though, Anita and her trope series was the toast of the town in media circles, garnering millions of views, attending major speaking events, TED Talks, video game conferences, and basically anyone that would have her. Suddenly confronted by this tidal wave of media scrutiny and profit-threatening criticism, the gaming industry reacted exactly like you'd expect. They folded like a house of cards, and before you knew it, Anita was being touted as the new savior of gaming, the bringer of light and truth who was going to drag the industry away from sweaty teenage boys and horny middle-aged men and into a more enlightened era of diversity and inclusion.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
However, all was not well. The Tropes vs. Women series that had started with such fanfare in 2013 was rapidly losing momentum. Views dropped off sharply from 2015 onwards and never really recovered, and the pace of uploads slowed down drastically, with only 2 episodes getting released in 2017 before...
Well, yeah, everything dies down. Something like this will die down because you can't talk about this forever, right? Eventually stuff will move on. Especially stuff like this. Moves fast, right? Stuff like this moves fast unless you're talking about like LGBTQ, but even then that's kind of moving on now. Like everything moves kind of fast.
Before the whole thing ground to a halt. Wow, that was $150,000 well spent, wasn't it? Anita's claim of being a lifelong gamer took a bit of a hit when footage emerged of her running a workshop back in 2010, giving a very different story.
It's a soundtrack of one song, except I'm doing video games. So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
So why did you say you're a lifetime gamer and just say I'm new at gaming, so I'm going to learn how to game to understand why I'm telling you this? Why didn't you just say that and then people will accept it more?
Are you serious?
It also turns out that mainstream media support is a fickle mistress, and if you don't have an actual fan base there to lift you up, pretty soon you're going to disappear into obscurity.
Yeah,
and well,
true.
That's exactly what happens. A VidCon panel that she hosted in 2017 turned into a complete disaster when almost nobody showed up except her own detractors, and she spent most of the event raging against them and dodging their questions. By 2019, desperate for money and relevance, she tried to publicly blackmail CD Projekt Red into a consultancy gig on their upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077, saying, "Hey CD Projekt Red, I'm always available for consulting cause it sure sounds like you might need it before the whole of the internet drags you for what sounds like some potentially sexist representations, which we all know you've struggled with in the past."
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Very bold.
It was the social media equivalent of a protection racket. "Hey buddy, nice game you got there. Be a real shame if something was to happen to it, know what I mean?" Needless to say, it didn't work. CD Projekt Red and any other developers still interested in turning a profit avoided her like the plague, and by the early 2020s, the culture had shifted, Gamergate and most of its major players had faded from relevance, and feminist frequency was fading with it. See, it turns out that watching a bunch of bored, frumpy, middle-aged spinsters prattling on about media they barely understand wasn't a big hit with audiences. Views plummeted, interest waned, and in 2023, Anita announced that she was shutting down feminist frequency for good. The official excuse was burnout and exhaustion. The real reason? Nobody was fucking watching it.
Literally.
So where exactly is she now? Well, in 2023, she made headlines when she celebrated her 40th birthday by holding a wedding ceremony where she married herself.
What? Listen, I'm all for, like, marrying a dude, you know, women marrying women. I'm all for that stuff. But marrying yourself, like, just say you're single. Because that's stupid. Just say you're single and you don't want to be in a relationship. Welcome to the millions of people who don't want that anymore. Like...
Really?
Yes, yes.
Oh, God.
Oh my god, that might be the saddest thing I have ever heard. Honestly, I can't think of a better metaphor for modern day feminism than a single, childless, middle-aged woman marrying herself. From a career standpoint, she still kind of exists as this shadowy figure on the fringes of the games industry, limping along with the occasional consulting gig on small-time indie projects, but her days as an industry-leading cultural icon are long gone. Looking back on it now, she was really just someone who happened to be in the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
able to weaponize controversy and ride the cultural wave that came with it for a few years.
Literally.
A person with many supporters but few fans, who ultimately outlived her own relevance. That being said, the influence that she had on video games is arguably still being felt to this day. Like it or not, Anita Sarkeesian made her mark on the games industry, and it was not a pretty one. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Hey, subscribe, subscribe to, The Critical Gamer. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, if you're gonna criticize something, you probably want to know about it before you make it. And if you're saying, just introduce yourself as, I'm new to the gaming industry. So I'm learning about these games as I make these videos. Cool, more people will accept it. But you have to know what you are talking about to keep going. Like, otherwise you're talking about nonsense. But yeah, like, subscribe. I'm trying to do this full time, so please help me make my dreams come true. We're at 1,000 subs. Please get me to 100,000. Please. And I'll see you guys in the next one.